And good morning. Hopefully everything is working for this. My name's Richard Murray, and this is the Zidim channel, and today is May 31st. And I'm back being live, which it's been a bit of a break here as we sold the house we used to live in, and we've been busy moving it, but that move is over. The result of which is this place is absolutely jammed packed full of stuff. Matter of fact, about the biggest patch of open floor space in my entire house is the bathroom. Everything else has small little corridors going through from spot to spot in between boxes and everything. So at least the actual move part is over, and it's wonderful to think that I'm not taking any long drives for some time because the old house was 4.5, 5 hour drive from here. So enough of that. Time to stay put, and time to get back into doing the 3D modeling and get into my trains again. One of the things out of the move is I ended up bringing back all my LGB stuff. A bunch of track and a few cars. Don't have a whole lot, but I have a little bit. So I actually have a place where I can build an outdoor layout at this property. So that'll be in the books. But there's a lot of work to be done first. A while back, you may have recalled I'm saying all the time. We'll work on that. You may recall that I designed a part for my greenhouse. Well, the greenhouse is getting moved, so it's not going to be built for a while. The reason it's being moved is the spot that I had planned to build it at was against my garden shed, and having to move all of this stuff, I really realized that I need to move the garden shed and in its place build a workshop. And it'll be insulated. They'll have some heat in the wintertime, at least to keep it above the freezing point. And that will be a place where I can keep things like the acetone for projects, keep the major chemicals out of the house, as well as a place so I can have my drill press and other tools out there right now. And for the past 2.5 years, my drill press has been front and center in my kitchen. Hey, it's a bachelor's house. Yes, Brenna moved in, but it's a bachelor's house. So it'll be August by the time that gets built. Chances are I'm going to design it in Fusion 360. It'll be a place for my tools, and actually also for a few more solar panels, add them into the mix. But that's down the road. But it will allow me to move some of the stuff out of here and get back into building more things, the larger objects that I use. The desk that I have here, for example, I built the desk. And I want to build a new island for the kitchen, so I'll be into building that sort of stuff. What else is going on? Well, I printed another frog. The nice thing is this frog came off my printer right over here, and it the back is nice and smooth. There's a few little bits of string here, and for some reason when I picked it up, pulled it off, the leg popped off. One of the legs came off, but the rest of it is in great shape. So I'm confident to say that my printer is up and running now. It took a big challenge. Excuse me. Hats off to Prusa Research. Their support, wonderful stuff. Loved the company. They got me through it, and hey, as I said, it's up and running. Brenna's has been up and running from day one, so I'm playing catch up with mine. And what's the other things here? Yeah, I printed another 3D spinner. I know I had a bag of nuts around here somewhere for it. I'm using the nuts for the counterweights, and I could only find two, so I'll have to find the third for this. This one I printed out of PLA, and within Fusion 360, the there we go, the fillet on it. I only made it a 1mm fillet. Should have been a 2mm fillet on it. But I'm not going to print it in PLA the next one. Now that I have this printer up and running, it's doing great. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pull the nozzle off and get into some of my exotic filaments. I want to print some of these spinners out of the various wood filaments that I have here. So not train related, but I'm using that to learn what we're doing. By the way, hello folks, there we go. Just noticed chat. So yes, I am ecstatic to have both printers running. They were both humming away last night. It's odd now we're back to being quiet. So what do we got going on here? Oh yes, yes, 3D printing is much more fun than unpacking. I like to be in a state where I can just say, oh, I want this, and reach in, get it, and move on. Now, I may have piles of stuff. I know where in that pile I have what I want. But right now, I haven't a clue where a lot of my stuff is. So we have to spend the rest of today and the rest of probably all of June packing things away and clearing it out, because I really want to get back to doing trains. One of the things I have here is my N scale tunnel portal, and I want to work on it some more. It's the only reason it's not finished is the move. This is the first time I picked it up since the last time I worked on it about 2.5 weeks ago. So before I do any changes to the dimensions, I think the tunnel is pretty much built now on the layout at the museum. I have to take my prints, take them out there, and just double check sizing for it. One of the members did do a check of that for me, and he thought, I just had to drop it a couple millimeters off of here. Another thing I had to do, here, I'll bring it up, and there we go. One of the things that I had, here we are in Fusion 360. Take a look at this. I want to see, let's see, let's turn the object off. And which time? How come I'm not seeing the sketches? Come on. There we go. Okay, I'm on the wrong side. There we go. So this object here, the tops and bottoms for the original version, I'm not going to pop back to it. Turned out though that I did not have these flattened. So I made that change when I shortened it. I shortened it by about 4 millimeters. That came back from our fellow with the museum. So I made that change. Now the other change I have to make is actually with the font, because, and of course I printed this in black, so you can't see the actual printout. Now, it was a mistake to use this font. So I'll have to correct that. Now, the other comment that came through, and I think, Bob, it might have been you, I'm not 100% certain, is that tunnel portals, I should have, let's see, is this, there we go. By the way, just as a side note before I make the plunge in that, this wonderful place, this is my son here, and this beautiful forest is actually about a 20-minute drive from the house. Some old growth cedar in there. So fortunate to have that sort of place here, and I keep kicking myself because I really don't spend enough time out there. And as a side note, again, a side note to the side note, there in the early 1900s, we had some narrow gauge trains at this location for both lumbering and for the mines in the area. We're in a silver mine area here in Creston. So, side note for that. But I want to take a look at tunnel portals. And we're just going to take a look at images here and see what we have. It was brought out, and I just did this. It's hard to tell. This one's a model. See, and you are correct. In this one here, the lettering is embedded. It does not stick out, but I'm actually looking for some real tunnel portals here. I did a search, and I can't remember what criteria I used. So, what did I search? How about how's that the impact? No, that's too modern for me. Nice model there. Since this is N scale, lettering may not be a big issue, but everything appears to be embedded, so I'll have to make that change to the model as well. So let's, what do we got here? Edit the sketch. Here we go. Can I change this lettering? Text, height, angle, text, font. Let's go to a straight Arial. Still not, we have curves with this. Now it's very nice, it's easy to come in, you can change the font. One problem with the font changes on this, it's hard to tell what's going on unless you have something on here. So I will cheat. Go into Microsoft Word. And what do we have here? Let's just go. I was looking at 2007 for my lettering. Make it something I can see. A little bit better now. Let's. This is actually Cabri might be a good one for this. Looking for a straighter font. There's the B&O fonts, the station fonts. They're just not going to do the job for me. a lot of these fancier fonts as well are not going to do the work for me. 2007 is what I'm looking to. MT Extra. Oh. And it's the 7 that, and the 2 that I'm looking at. See, these have a curve to them as well. And then whichever font that I'm using this for has to be a true type font in order to use it within Fusion 360. Universal condensed. And as that might work. It's a blocky font. It's no longer centered, but I can work on that. These are solid letters, and the curves have been minimized. The curves on my actual tunnel printout. Is there any way this will show up? Let's see if I can get this to show up at all. There we go. It is showing up. You can see how the curves at the bottom of the 2 and as well as the 2 zeros just didn't come through, and that's with the size of the print combined with the font that I had chosen are not ideal for this. So what can I do here? I grab, yep, there we go. There. Have it set that way. Now, I had, let's turn this on, and I have to go back now. Okay, the sketch is offset now. Let's see, what steps do we have here? Sketch 1, 2, sketch. Let's go back through my history. Oh, sorry, wrong screen. I have to keep reminding myself to swap screens on there. So what do we got here? Let's go back step by step. There's our design. And there's the lettering. And so here, don't want to do that. I want to take this and press pull here. We extruded it. Let's go. -1. This is a cut. Okay. Let's see how that worked out. There. that will do the trick for us for the print. I'm not adding much more detail for this. We gotta remember this is N scale, and it's going to be at arm's length on a portable layout. As we're talking about, we're going to leave it fairly plain. Now for other scales, I would add more detail for this, and I actually thought about adding a keystone effect to it as they did to this, or a bit of a cap. Now the cap I probably should add. So let's add a cap. We got a surface there and create a sketch based on that surface. So now I am on top of the tunnel portal. I'm adding a sketch in here, and this is just a simple let's see, rectangle. Yeah, 2 point should be good enough. I'm going to start it here, and I'm just going to have it stick out there. There. Good. And now we're going to stop the sketch. Make sure that it's facing the right direction, which is not at here. That's okay though. I'm going to let's do a push-pull on it, one object, and we are going to come up. How high should I make this? I'll make it 2 millimeters high. What would it be up there? Not what I was looking for. Just got an edge on here. Undo that, and let's go back to edit the sketch. Oh, we started it here. Why is this not this is my sketch. Let's turn off the object for a second. There's my second sketch, sketch 1. This is sketch 5. Sketch 5 is there. That's the one I want. Distance 2 millimeters. Okay, there we go. Now let's see what we get when we do that. Added a joint but wasn't going beyond. As I say, this is where I can now actually focus on working with the program. There's the profile, there's the first sketch. Now my cap, I need to drag it over. It's not where I want it to be, so that's the one I want. worked all night on this last night, and things were humming across like nicely. I have another project that I'm working on. That's there. That's backspace. Come on. Got what I want. It's facing the right direction. Let's go down to, oh, that's one of the problems. 2 millimeters, and this is a join. And it didn't choose my sketch component. What am I doing wrong here? Come on, brain. You practice and you practice, and you still mess up. That's why I'm doing this, so you don't have to. Got our history there. Oh, what we got here? This is, we're just confirming that our Friday night hangout will be with Joe at 3D Printing Noob. So it's going to be interesting if he's hosting, because the stream starts at 4 a.m. his time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. So great video, great guy on there. You can probably do this click, click, click like I was doing last night. Let's turn these sketches off. There's all our lettering, everything else, so I don't need to see the lettering. And sketch 5, I'm just going to delete that. There's our surface. I want to create a new sketch based on that surface. That's angle over. I am doing, oops, don't want to add another sketch. I want to add a rectangle, and we have trying to figure out if a 3-point would be better for this. Well, I'm going to go with 2-point. We're going to start here. And I got to silence my phone. There. What happened with this? Let's escape out of there. There. That's looking right. Once again, I'm flopped around on here. And now I will silence the phone. There. Okay. Once again, I'm going back to here. Let's edit the sketch again. No, I don't want to go that far. Editing the sketch. I got something locking this in. Do we have this yet? Okay. We do have it looking the way that I want. No. It's still part of the sketch. I have to work on that phone just doesn't want to stop today. Alright. I gotta see what I'm doing on this. And I have to get back into streaming so I know to open my mouth as I am talking through this stuff. That's frustrating as we go through it here. Don't do it that way. I want to do it from here. Rectangle, stay with that. I should be using the keyboard shortcuts for this. As well as learning how to double click or push enough pressure on it. Oh, exciting news as I'm complaining about my computer. My workstation has been ordered. What did I just do? Didn't want that. What did I just do? Let's go back in. Sketch 4, Sketch 5. We're adding a new sketch. Create a sketch based on that surface. There we go. We have it centered. Now we're up to sketch 7 on here. I'm just confusing the issue quite a bit. Paul. What's in? I only did that one area here. And we're going 2 millimeters. Now let's see what that got us. Oh, we're in the right direction. We have a bit of a cap on there. I don't know if I really want to do it this way though. I am thinking, based on this, if I fix up the lettering, I don't want a cap. Did I be wise and keep these on here? We do have capstones on several of these. Many of the moderns do not have one. Come on. Open up to a new one. Where have we got? here? I had a whole stack of wonderful tunnel portal entrances pictured. Of course, I don't have one now. Not the one I'm looking for. And I don't remember what criteria I used. Now this is, instead of saying modern, let's say US. Filters it down a little bit. Oh, who's this guy here? This is actually a good one for me to work from. The reason this is good, we have some stone. We have what I have coming up. We have two locations on our display layout where it's going to be a dual portal on there. Now we were thinking for the visuals on it might actually offset the two different portals in order just to add the depth to it, make it a little bit more visually interesting. Okay, I turned the sound off on my phone. Of course, the computer keeps popping up in here. I think I'm just going to leave it off without the end cap. I got gray on here. What we'll do, oh no, I really shouldn't print it. I'm going to take it back a step, leave it like that. Do a save on this. I'll save, and I don't mind slicing these because let's see, projects here. Oh no, remodels, trains, and scale tunnel portal. Here we got just update the number on it. I don't mind printing these because these tunnel portal printouts will actually get used anyway. I'll be flipping them around. They still have a role. Now the other thing I haven't done is the tunnel liner, and that I really do want to have done. Once we have the actual tunnel built, and then I'll be putting in there. Now the other thing I have doing here is I am using Prusa on here. There's no special settings I'm going to need for this. I am forcing myself to use Slicer over Simply 3D. And this is Tunnel Portal 2. Now I had the issue last week. There it is, embedded, very simple. I needed to, and I had a battle with that. Let's see. Part, move, X, Y, Z, okay. I want to rotate. Is that a rotation? Okay. Got selected. Not the screen I was looking for. Object, rotate, round, I think it's the x-axis. There we go. So we have it fitted nicely on the bed. It's flat, and we have our indents cut in there. So we're using regular Prusa PLA for this. Have it on here. Let's do a slice. It's very simple. And we're back to our end scale here. And of course, I make sure that I put down what material it is sliced for. There we go. It'll go off to the printer like that. So we'll fire that up and let this go. Now the other thing I did is with all my battles, getting things up and running. Where are we here? Updated the Prusa firmware. We brought another firmware upgrade up. Here, we don't need that one. There. We brought a upgrade up for the Prusa MK2S for the firmware last week. One of the great things for it is we hold down the control panel button, and you hold it down for a couple of seconds, and then the C adjust pops up, so you can raise the extruder head up from there. Printing, no, wrong side. Where's my models? Trains, N scale tunnel portal. This is number 2, PLA. We'll send that to the card. That was the wrong one I sent over there anyway. Just overwrote the one that was on there. Why does it think it's... Send to... What's going on here? Of course, none of this happens when I'm not streaming. PLA Marvin. There's the spinner. That one can go because I... Getting a notice on here. How did this end up being write protected? Lots of space on there. Must have done that, did that accidentally. There. Okay. You. Go away. Yes, I wanted to make sure that's color code, nothing else. That's calibrations. And it's so empty because this is the one for mine. The one that has everything on it is Brenna's. I don't know. Just do a bit of quick cleaning here. Start off the print surface nice and clean. There we go. Card inserted. And we will just print it right on with what I have on here. There. Print started. Get that out of the way. So the other project I have going, oh, before I got off on that tangent, the other thing that's going on is my workstation, as I mentioned, is on order. That is, looking forward to getting that in here. Let's see if I have the page open. I do not. I will bring up the reason I'm getting a workstation. This workstation, it's going to have the Intel i7 chip on it. Big thing about it is going to have 64 gigabytes of RAM in there. Why 64 gig of RAM, you may ask? Well, it's because I'm going to be adding this here. Let's see, screen main, there we go. I'm going to be adding the Agasoft. Trying to remember how to properly pronounce this. Photogrammetric triangulation. This is for taking photographs. You take a series of photographs, as you can see here. You take a number of pictures of an item and you process it within the software, and the result of which will be a 3D model that you clean up and can print. So my goal is to start doing a bunch of scanning here at the museum and wherever else I can for models for 3D printing for my layouts, and both for my OM30 layout and for my LGB layout. So this, instead of getting a scanner and using it, you take a whole stack of imagery and you process it through this software, and you get a model from there that you can work on and develop a printable model. So that is what I'm looking forward to doing with this. This computer will be here sometime early next week, and then I'll be transferring everything over there, and then I'll start actually doing my video work from the train room as I'd originally planned. My Microsoft Surface just wasn't up to the task. So I'm looking forward to getting into using this sort of stuff again. And this software, by the way, let's see if we go to the buy page. Okay, let's, where were we? Okay, I don't need the professional version. $179 US. So, good price. Just the smallest, least expensive thing on the new computer, I believe. So, it will be interesting to use. So that's with the software. So, my other issue here, what was I planning on doing today? Now that I have the tunnel portal printing again, well, what I have is a number of these lamps from the old house. So what I'm going to be doing is replacing the lamp itself, this component, with a plate that I can use for holding the cameras, and well, two of them, one for cameras and one for a different style of light over top of my modeling work. So with this one, I do vary some of them. You can actually pop off this surface, but what I'm looking at doing here, sorry for any shaking that you might encounter at this point in time. Please make sure that your seat belts are fastened. How about that? And get it so the whole thing doesn't tip over at the same time. Workable? No, it's falling. You're heavy. You're not very heavy. What do I have here that has some weight? You have some weight. There. Now we're just crooked. Can we actually see this? No. So I have to get my workspace going. Get back into the train room so I have my camera set up the way I want it for it. But there we go. So what I have to do is come up with a component that just replaces this. This will come off. I have to pull the power cable out of here. And then I can put this in, put it in the same place, and that'll be my camera mount. So what am I looking at here? This is 10.5 millimeters thick and 3.5 millimeters for the hole on there, with the walls being 4.3 millimeters. So I have to basically redesign this part with this component here, but this will now have a base. Have to add some tension on there as well. I'm just wondering if I can further take this apart. Do I have a regular run-of-the-mill bladed screwdriver here? I do not. But it doesn't look like it has the flexibility I want anyway. So, what are we going to do here? What we're going to do is turn this around. See what we have here. I have, as you can see, this is a disaster area. I did manage to open up some space. As I was going through my world of printing, had a lot of those. Line sheet. If you watch Angus, you'll know that he keeps reminding us always start with a sketch. And it's a good habit to get into, not only for that, but gets you into the right headspace for working with the software. Of course, my big challenge is finding a pen that works. There we go. Check that one out later. So, my sketch. we go. We have two discs attached to the post. This post will have a small plate attached with the mounting screw for the camera. This will be able to pivot front and back, and for side to side pivoting. One option is actually have this attached to a ball mount, and then have the plate attached to it with our screw for the camera. So I can go flat like this and use the camera for the side to side and the arm to side, or make it a little bit more complex, have the ball in there. That will give me both motions, but you have to look at the tight tolerances and see how long that'll last. My thoughts are, to begin with, I can start simple with this. See if the movement of the arm will give me enough flexibility. If it does, then I got it done. It's very simple, and that's the starting point. But if I don't have enough motion with that, I break it open, and then I'll add a pivot point to it. This pivot point will add the complexity of not only do you want the ball in there on both posts, but the cover that goes over top of the ball. There, I guess I should have it like this. Ball. This cover will actually have to have another screw attached to it to tighten the pressure against the ball so it doesn't come loose. So this gets a little bit too more complex for the motion. Hopefully we can do it this way. So that's the design goal for this. Why is this part of it? Well, my trains are on a shelf layout, and here we're being visited. Gus heard that I'm printing something, so he came to see how I'm doing there. I guess wave to everybody. So what am I going to do with that? I can move these arms around my layout, so as I'm working on different parts, I can just plug the arm in further down, and I can stream as I'm working on scenery or laying track, what have you. So that's one area for doing it. The second one is just on the workbench, so I can show you how I'm building things. I have several DPM kits, mostly in HO, but I love the DPM stuff, except for the corners. Not a fan of the corners at all. And what I want to do is replace the corners with corners that I print. And so the wall sections are staying DPM module wall sections, but just redo the corners. So I want to be able to make it easier to show things to you. So I'm not putting a screwdriver on top of the mini tripod that I have for doing the prints. Now, Gus, this is not yours. I do have to do a quick check here. There we go. And the information, just to confirm that 3D Printing Noob will be hosting us Friday night. Will be coming out tomorrow. So, what are we going to do here? We're going to start this sketch. Back here I have Fusion. Yes, I have that there. Let's close this, and I'm going to close this module. I'm going to I believe it's under make a new component. When you're starting Fusion 360, you're starting to build something. Best practice is to always come over. First thing you do is start a new component. What is this going to be? This is going to be, get this off my lap. Camera melt one. Okay. Let's go to the top. Let's not go to the top. Let's go to the front. Where's my diagram here? Yes, I am starting at the front. So let's create a sketch. And yes, I'm on the face here. So, what did I say? These are my first circles on here. Do I have to hang on to that? I did have to hang on to that. Oh, well. So once again, we are starting with a different camera here. I start with this area here. This section is going to come out modeled just as it is within this package. So that's the goal, so that's where I'm starting. And dimension one was, what did I say? Always re-zero. .7 millimeters. Okay, this is a circle. It's a center diameter circle. Starting at the origin. And I just said 4.8 millimeters is my start. Okay. That's circle number one. And now I'm going to start another one. We'll make this it looks thick, but that is how they have it set up. So that's the basic object there. So we have this here. Stop the sketch. This part here, we're going to do a press pull, and this is going to be 11 millimeters. Good. So there we have start of the pin for the lamp. Now, let's go back to the sketch. Let's see the sketch. And get to the front again. I need to add a line and a line. I'll just put it here. And this is just a work face. So I want this to be perpendicular to that. On. Actually, it should be a tangent. There we go. That's what I wanted. So, just a line to have on that. Gives me something to work from. Let's see if this will do the job for me. And I do this the way I want to. Don't want to create the sketch here. Surface. Select the plane. It's on the wrong side. Oh, I know how to do this. I wish I shouldn't be doing these morning things in the morning. I work better at 4 o'clock in the morning. By the way, the print is coming out very nicely. Good. And here we go with the phone again. I shouldn't be doing it this way. Oh. I got that going. What do we got going there? There we go. Okay, this is not where I want the sketch. Let's see. Let's stop the sketch there. Okay, this is the right side, we're straight. Let's create a sketch here. And let's hide the body. I wish we could always hide the body. There we go. Now, what am I going to do with this sketch? This is the upright post for our component. So once again, this will be, I have it as a cylinder on here. I don't need it to be a cylinder. Is there a reason to have it as a cylinder? No. So, I don't want to do that. Come on. I've hit that several times. Rectangle. I can make it where's my line end? There. There's my rectangle. Okay. Have it made. I will, let's see, have this equal that. And horizontal, vertical. Actually, I shouldn't be constraining any of these dimensions at this time. Let's not the sketch. We'll extrude this out. And it will be the magic number being, it's going to be a block. Oh, 30 millimeters high. Oh. I have it in the wrong position, so did this, yes. What do we have here? Okay, that's right. This is what I want. That cylinder will be attached here. I just have to move it away from the cylinder. I want this curve to match, to flow smoothly out of here. Right? Has to be on the edge, has to be curve. And working out on where does this object actually have to be. That's the length. This is what we made at 30. Won't work with it having to be on the edge. Now, I went through this whole exercise where? What did I do in the exercise? I also make up finger rings. These things here. Similar type of exercise. This is not my finished model of it, but adding a flat component. This is actually a pen ring. You put this ring on your finger and a pen is held in here. Your thumb can rest on one component and your finger on the other side. And if you can't hold a pen, you can still work from this. And the interesting thing was attaching this object to the pen holder itself. And this is a little bit overset. You'd print this in PLA, and this would be in a softer, you'd put an insert here made of softer material in order to grasp the pen. But we had the attachment points here, and I went through a lot of difficulty getting this to work right, lining up with my pens. So what I'm wondering about is where I may have to hold this area here, because if you go into fidget spinner, once again, if you take a look at this one and look at the sketch, that's the entire sketch for the fidget spinner. And then you just rotate around to bring up the body and work these through and smooth this off. I'm just wondering if I have to, with this component here, I was just going to add a plane on here. I'm wondering if I have to change my sketch so this is not a circle. I can have a rounded component and have it go straight out, pretty much like the center of the tunnel portal. But that'll give me a flat base to mount on for this component, because if I put this plane out here, I'd have to add some support in one way or another. So, back to the drawing boards with this. That's that's our original sketch one. Okay. I'm not going to do this. I don't like doing that. I can start off from straight, just from the beginning. Let's go into the sketch and edit the sketch. This is what we started out on. Let's see now. So what I really want to do is basically add a line. This will square it off. Good. Add this. Now, how thick was this thing? There. Yeah, we got something to work from. Now, that disc will fit in here, like this has it, and we have the offshoot for the plate. And now we can add to that plate. It'll rotate like this. I know sideways rotation. I'll have to add that on. But let's save this. And I'll have to find a new better. This is my cam holder one. Save. Okay. I got the start of saving things on here. Now, looking closely at this too. I may have to follow what they're doing. I'll wait till I have it built. If you look in here, if this camera will focus. This is not my best camera. I'll look forward to being in the other room. You can see that they added some spokes to the interior of this just to increase the friction. So, looking at it closely, it's the same material. It's fairly hard plastic. And it's just there to add a little bit of friction. The other component that we have with it, I guess I'm going to have to design into it, is, once again, we split the two halves. There's a slight gap to it, and that way you actually have some compression when you tighten it up. So I'll probably have to add that in. My problem is right now, fiddling around with everything. Yeah, it's not going to be done in time. I have to run off the border because I have mail in, and I just got another reminder here. I have another thing coming up in a few minutes I have to head off to. But at the border is more filament. Brenna ordered some filament, and I have another maker box coming. That's one of my other projects, is the maker box filaments come in loose rolls, and my new lac table, the holder for it, you get cables, all filament all over the place if you put just a roll on there that is not actually in a spool. So I want to make a special holder for the maker box filament that comes up. So I will get into doing that. So I'm going to go through this Fusion 360. I'll get my head wrapped around it. It's been 3 weeks since I was doing this project and before we sold the house. So as I said, I did this last night. Worked fine. Now I have the basics ready and up and running. We just add to this part and we'll be able to move forward from there. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I wish I was a little bit more coherent, but it's wonderful to be back, and I'll eventually pick up all the pieces from the move, and I'll get back into normal work, as well as I'll be getting into using my workstation, back into the train room, back with train stuff, and I'm looking forward to that. So you can head to my website. I will be working on that now as well. Get the 3D component up there, up and running at zidim.com. You can see some of my train stuff on there, as well as my sonology information if you're into music history. So that's over on the sonology component, all of which is accessible through zidim.com. And the main site I use for Facebook really is 3D printing for model trains. So, but I do have Zidim 17 up there. I'm trying to match things together a little bit better. So, and we are on Twitter as well. And as I said, Friday 3D printing new at 10 p.m. Eastern is when we'll get going there. And just waiting for the lettering to show up here. It's not there yet. So the tunnel print should be done. And I'll be taking this over to the layout, and hopefully it'll be ready to bring it back here and build the tunnel portal for it. So that's it for today. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.